Chapter 6. General Comments. A reading of Chapter 6 shows that the processes and stages of a common householder acquiring certain qualities sufficient to be described as sannyasi, yati, muni, sadhu, brahmachari, vairagi, tapasvi, jnani, yogi etc., by practice of a certain regime which includes the eternal triad having the better of the trio and further the common householder becoming the man of the Brahm, i.e. the perfect stoic, are detailed in the chapter, the processes and stages. It may be kept in view that the appellations like sannyasi, yati, muni, sadhu, brahmachari, vairagi, tapasvi, jnani, yogi etc. are normally used for persons who are part of the clerical order, clergy. But in Bhagwat Gita these appellations have been used for the common householders who are imperfect stoics at different levels of self-discipline and state of consciousness. 6.1. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 1. Shri Krishna spoke, if the person takes the action without depending on fruits thereof, which is obligated necessary, he can be described as a stoic, imperfect. The person who gives up the sacrificial fire, havan, but who does not do any activity is not even an imperfect stoic. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 1 to 4 of chapter 6 may be read together. Reference is invited to Shlok numbers 1 to 3 of chapter 5 and 6 of chapter 5. These shloks deal with as to who is a stoic though imperfect, yogi, sannyasi, muni, yati etc. according to Shri Krishna. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.2. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 2. What is said to be stoicism, imperfect? You may understand that to be a combination, yog, O son of Pandu. A person who cannot give up the longing of fruits of action cannot even become an imperfect stoic. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 1 to 4 of chapter 6 may be read together. Reference is invited to Shlok numbers 1 to 3 and 6 of chapter 5. These shloks deal with a stoic even though imperfect, yogi, sannyasi, muni, yati, according to Shri Krishna. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.3. Eternal triad. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 3. For an imperfect stoic, the way up is difficult. He has to toil for and resort to the path of eternal triad to become a man of correct action. It is so said. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 1 to 4 of chapter 6 may be read together. The expression eternal triad includes the processual group of 1. Collection of correct knowledge, Jnana Yoga, 2. Correct analysis, applied intellect including rationality and correct decision, Buddhi Yoga, and 3. Taking of the correct action, Karma Yoga, and as referred inter alia in Shlok number 1 of chapter 4. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. Note. Above meaning of the word sama has been taken from the Sanskrit English Dictionary, edition, 2008 at page number 1539, Parimal Publication, Delhi, and in view of the context. 6.4. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 4. When a person discharges his duties with control of senses, does not long for a material gain, the imperfect stoic is on the path of eternal triad to become a man of correct action, Karma Yogi. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 1 to 4 of chapter 6 should be read together as the subject matter thereof is same. It will also be useful to read the shloks with reference inter alia to shlok numbers 13, 15, 44 to 46, 51 to 58 of chapter 2, 4, 19, 20 of chapter 3, 22, 23 of chapter 4, 2, 6, 7 of chapter 5. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.5. Soul the Master. Best of material spiritual worlds. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 5. Soul, one may elevate oneself. One may downgrade oneself. One, by one's thinking, is own friend and own enemy. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. Shri Krishna says that a person's soul can help himself to move upwards in life's journey. Without his own determination, others may not be of much help to him. His thinking and activities may benefit him or may harm his own cause. According to Shri Krishna, a man is what he knows and thinks. A man is what he does. He may have best of material and spiritual worlds. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.6. Soul the Master. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 6. The soul, person, which controls himself, senses etc., is own friend. But the soul which does not control himself, the senses etc., is own foe enemy and behaves like a foe enemy. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. The shlok is self-explanatory. However, it is stated that reference may usefully be made inter alia to shlok numbers 19 to 26, 29 to 32 of chapter 2, which also deal with the soul being the master as also regarding his control over the senses. 6.7. Paramatma. An evolved human soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 7. The soul, person, in winter or summer, in suffering or in happiness, and in honor and in shame remains steady and balanced, and who has controlled himself. Such a soul develops the tranquility of a very experienced seasoned person. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. In view of the clear enunciation of the word Paramatma, using this word as synonym for the word Ishwar, Brahm will be wrong. However, reference may usefully be made to comments set out under Shlok number 72 of chapter 2. Note. The word Paramatma above has been given the meaning in view of the fact that the qualities to be acquired by a person are being described. Reference to the Brahm Ishwar is not being made in this shlok. 6.8. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 8. The soul, person, who is immersed in knowledge, in scientific knowledge, engaged in that what is unchangeable, who has full sense control, he who treats the heap of soil, stones and the gold alike. Thus, he is said to be yet an imperfect stoic. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effect to the trio. 6.9. Deterrent punishment. Justice be done. Eternal relevance. Judges advised. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 9. The person is extraordinarily excellent if he is good-hearted alike to both friend and foe, impartial and a mediator. His kinsmen and good people should feel envious of him. He has a just consciousness to the evildoers. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. In the above shlok, Shri Krishna has indicated that a person should remain impartial and cool in his relationship. While remaining impartial and cool, the required quantum and quality of deterrence has to be given to the erring and the wrongdoers. If a person is asked to mediate between disputing parties, the said person should either refuse to mediate knowing that one of the disputants had been unfriendly to him, or he should keep that feeling out of consciousness while deciding the dispute. This is the meaning of the expression alike to friend and foe. Similarly, if a wrongdoer is a friend, he has still to be punished for the wrong done to anyone or to the society. The principle has eternal relevance. The punishment should also act as a deterrent. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.10. Action without any sin. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 10. In order to become an imperfect stoic, the soul has to control own, impacted, consciousness, be without obsession, be non-possessive. He should remind himself to follow Brahm's teachings etc., situated in a quiet place regularly. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 5 to 10 of chapter 6 may be read together. In chapter 2, 2 to 5, 5, there is much reference to the above subject matter. In particular, reference be made inter alia to shlok numbers 13, 15, 48 of chapter 2, 19, 20 of chapter 3, 22, 23, 39, 40, 41 of chapter 4, 2, 6, 7, 8 of chapter 5. In this shlok and in the shloks following it, Shri Krishna details step by step the path leading a person to become a perfect stoic. The person should develop various attributes mentioned in the shlok, and he should regularly ponder over and follow the teachings, words etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna. Lest anyone should forget about the qualities that a stoic should have and the conduct and actions he should resort to, Shri Krishna has laid down that one should regularly remind oneself and choose the right path by following the words, teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna. The above attributes qualities have to be developed by actual practice in daily life. Therefore, regular contemplation is needed. When a stoic takes action, such an action will be described as one by a man of correct action, karma yogi. An action may be described as correct action if taken, and is the result of fulfilling the above three conditions qualities by following the path of correct knowledge. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.11. Physical Yoga. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 11. The place should be clean, neither very high or low, where the own seat should be firmly located. The seat should have a layer of grass on the ground covered by a piece of cloth or a deer skin. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 19 of chapter 6 may be read together as these deal with the manner of reaching the stage of actual focusing of the self-soul on the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna to know check the extent of actual practicing thereof. The reason for including this part of the physical yoga is to clarify and remove all doubts as also to simplify, for a person in this world to attain the degree of qualities of a Stoic, made as a part of his activities in daily life. 6.12 Physical Yoga. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 12. He should sit on the seat and focus his impacted consciousness, control his impacted senses and the activity and resort to the eternal triad for cleansing the impacted consciousness. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. Note: the subject matter of Shlok number 12 of chapter 6 onwards except Shlok numbers 27 to 32 of chapter 6 is primarily the self-control. In certain shloks the actual use of the word intellect, consciousness or the like has not been used. Therefore, the shloks have been interpreted keeping the above fact and understanding of a clear meaning of the words in view. 6.13 Physical Yoga. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 13. He should hold his body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steady and firmly see at the tip of the nose without looking around. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 17 of chapter 6 may be read together. 6.14 Impacted Consciousness. Physical Yoga. Teachings etc. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 14. The soul, person, should with an unagitated, subdued impacted consciousness, devoid of fear, situated with a vow of no sex feelings, the soul, person, with full attention should remind himself of the teachings etc. of the Brahm. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 17 of chapter 6 may be read together. Reference is invited to Shlok numbers 61 and 65 of chapter 2 and common note no.1. The above translation has been made in order to easily understand the purpose of the soul. The word mana has been interpreted as impacted consciousness. Please see inter alia in Shlok number 7 of chapter 15, also common note no.5. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.15 While living. Teachings etc. Best of material spiritual worlds. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 15. Even an imperfect Stoic thus regularly practicing the control of the impacted consciousness and other activities and following Brahm's teachings etc. will attain the highest unburdened peace like Ishwar's. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 17 of chapter 6 may be read together. In the above shlok, what Shri Krishna is revealing to us is that a living being may carry on his activities without the fear of his getting burdened with the effects of his actions. Shri Krishna has repeatedly said that although the Brahm carries on various activities, they do not entail any adverse consequences, like a sin. It may be clarified that the above non-burdening effect is in relation to an imperfect Stoic. However, an imperfect Stoic already is in that state of action and immersed in these qualities where his activities do not burden him. That is why he is described as an imperfect Stoic. He may have best of material and spiritual worlds. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.16 Physical Yoga. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 16. O Arjun, a person cannot even undertake physical yoga if he eats excessively or does not eat at all, and certainly sleeps excessively or keeps awake. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 17 of chapter 6 may be read together. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.17 Physical Yoga. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 17. A person who is regular in his 1. Food habits, 2. Recreations, 3. Initiatives, 4. Activities, 5. Sleeping, and 6. Waking up, the above way of life regime routine will keep away causes of unhappiness. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 17 of chapter 6 may be read together. 6.18 Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 18. When habitually impacted consciousness is specifically and steadily controlled by the soul and is indifferent to all material longings and sense gratification, then he, soul, is said to be well on the path of correct action. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. 6.19 Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 19. Just as the flame of an oil lamp does not flicker in a windless place, similarly does even an imperfect stoic who controls the impacted consciousness and engages in reminding himself about the soul self. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 11 to 19 of chapter 6 may be read together. The above shlok is reminder to us that we should regularly ponder over various facts so that we evaluate our activities on the anvil of the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna, which inter alia include the role of the soul in relation to the material body, the Ishwar Brahm, his creations, individual duties etc. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.20 Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 20. Where upon complete control of the impacted consciousness by correct practices under eternal triad and where the soul certainly realizes its true self, the soul sees itself satisfied. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. 6.21 Lasting happiness. The triad. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 21. The immense happiness obtained by him through applied intellect, buddhi yoga, and not through senses, he knows that condition, happiness, to be real, true, lasting and not temporary. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For common comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. The above Shlok be correctly understood and confined to the condition of consciousness which enables the person to rationally analyze, under triad, circumstances surrounding him at a particular point of time. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.22 Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 22. After obtaining that happiness, he realizes that he cannot have any better, higher benefit. Being thus situated, the severest highest of the griefs cannot shake him away from that belief. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 20 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For common comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. The above shlok be correctly understood and confined to the condition of consciousness which enables the person to rationally analyze, under triad, circumstances surrounding him at a particular point of time. 6.23. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 23. Practice of controlling of the senses etc. through eternal triad makes one aware of the cause of grief in, during, the cycle of life and death, and one should practice the sense control etc. through eternal triad with determination and with serene consciousness. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. The eternal triad has to have the better of the effects of the trio. 6.24. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 24. The person should by deliberate decision, abandoning all longings, obsessions, desires, completely from all sides, can certainly control the cluster of senses by his pure consciousness. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. 6.25. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 25. The person should gradually develop, by patient use of applied intellect etc., and he should focus his attention on the self, teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna, and he should avoid all other thoughts. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For comments, please see commentary under Shlok numbers 19 and 28 of chapter 6. 6.26. Chanchal Mana. Flitting consciousness. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 26. Wherever ever restive, restless, unsteady and flitting impacted consciousness, mana, may have strayed away, therefrom, it has to be brought back to the self, subdued and controlled. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For common comments, please see commentary under Shlok number 28 of chapter 6. Please also see comments under Shlok number 42 of chapter 4, 34 of ch 6, 7 of chapter 15, where the expression impacted consciousness has been explained. Also see common note No.5. In the sermon of Bhagwat Gita, the word mana has been used to describe different effects on the consciousness. But the two main effects are A. Affecting the consciousness of the soul and B. Nature affecting the senses. Adverse initial effect on the senses has been called mana and referred to in these comments as impacted senses, mana. 6.27. Sinless state. When perfect stoic. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 27. The stoic may have a peaceful consciousness, obtain the highest degree of happiness, bliss, overcomes the quality of fruitive keenness, rajas, as he becomes a perfect stoic, in a sinless state and understands the relationship between man and the Brahm Ishwar. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together. For common comments, please see commentary under Shlok numbers 19, 28 of chapter 6. 6.28. Perfect Stoic when. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 28. In this manner, the imperfect Stoic, always practicing, imbued to the self-soul and following the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna, in a state of sinlessness and happiness, may easily feel the great soothing touch, close proximity, of the Brahm and happiness, as he becomes a perfect Stoic. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read together as these describe in detail the effect of science of physical yoga as part of the daily routine of a man, and which necessarily includes his resort to the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Shri Krishna so that he is able to focus on the different situations faced by him and to reach the right conclusions under the guidance of the said takings etc. Thus, he will consciously and deliberately arrive at the right solutions followed by the right actions. The above described person may simultaneously be a man of this world as also the man of the Brahm while living. The above Shlok numbers 18 to 28 of chapter 6 may be read as continuation, particularly inter alia to Shlok numbers 19, 20, 23 to 28 of chapter 5. After passing through different stages and developing certain qualities, a person becomes a Stoic finally, as indicated in Shlok numbers 27 and 28 of chapter 6 after having remained as an imperfect Stoic during the earlier stages. Reference is also invited particularly to Shlok number 72 of chapter 2, where a vital stage in a man's life has been dealt with. Shlok number 72 of chapter 2 refers to the Stoic as described in Shlok numbers 27 and 28 of chapter 6, I man of the Brahm. In order that one reaches the above state of consciousness, impacted consciousness which necessarily flits around, Manas Kankalam, number 26 of ch 6, has to be controlled and purified by the pure part of consciousness of the soul with the help of under the eternal triad, please see numbers 39, I, 48 of ch 2, 1 of ch 4 etc. It is relevant to quote a part of the comments given under number 36 of ch 6. It may be clearly understood that the soul is the master of body. See Shlok number 30 of ch 2. Soul has to control all thoughts, actions and reactions. The soul is affected by one or more, in higher or lower degree, by the three attributes, trio, caused due to nature, i.e. fruitive goodness, sattva, fruitive keenness, rajas, and fruitive ignorance, tamas. The pure soul is affected by one or more of the above attributes by way of instincts etc. The thus tainted part of the soul, impacted consciousness, has to be overcome and cleansed. 6.29. Equality of souls. An egalitarian. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 29. The soul of a perfect Stoic realizes that all living beings have a soul. He looks at all other beings everywhere equally. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok number 29 may be read with Shlok numbers 30 to 32 of chapter 6. Please also see inter alia Shlok numbers 42 to 44, 53, 65 of chapter 2, 11 of chapter 3, 24, 28 of chapter 4, 30 of chapter 6. 6.30. Trusty. All in Ishwar's sight. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 30. He who sees the Brahm everywhere and in everything as part of him. Ishwar Brahm is always in his sight, never forgotten, and he is always in his sight, never forgotten by him. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok number 29 of chapter 6 may be read with Shlok number 30 of chapter 6. Shlok number 29 of chapter 6 restates that Ishwar Brahm wants every living person to be treated equally. The man of correct knowledge, Jnana Yogi, can only be one who follows and practices the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Sri Krishna in his day-to-day worldly life. Such a person cannot be affected by vanity or false ego or aggrandizement at the cost of any other living being. Such a person is peaceful and exudes, causes, peace for others. He believes that since all things belong to him, he should act as trustee in all aspects. Obviously, in such a state of living, while continuously practicing the teachings etc. of the Brahm, he overcomes the three attributes caused due to nature, i.e. fruitive goodness, sattva, fruitive keenness, rajas, and fruitive ignorance, tamas. Ishwar is a living entity person. The above described person may simultaneously be called 1. A man of this world, 2. A man of correct action, 3. The man of the Brahm, and 4. A perfect stoic while living a worldly life. Such a person is ever close to the Brahm. Please refer to number 72 of ch.2, where the nearness to Brahm is described. Therefore, it is in these circumstances that he is in his sight, and conversely, Brahm is always with him as he follows and practices the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Sri Krishna. The shlok is not referring to physical proximity, but to the living of life according to the said teaching etc. It should not be a case of nearer to crutch, but farther from God. The above shlok numbers 29 and 30 of chapter 6 may be read in continuations, particularly inter alia to shlok numbers 19, 20, 23 to 28 of chapter 5. One very vital message being disclosed by the Brahm Ishwar is that the Brahm should be considered to be present in all living beings through the soul which is a fragment of the Brahm. This is also to quieten those voices who talk of the formless Brahm. Further, an alter ego of the Brahm cannot be in flesh and blood unless the Brahm himself was a living person. Please also see Shlok numbers 3, 4 of chapter 8 etc. which describe the Brahm Ishwar. Also see Shlok numbers 6 to 9 of chapter 4, where the manifestation of the alter ego is stated. 6.31. Ishwar Brahm sees everything. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 31. One with steady intellect sees the Brahm in all living beings and follows Brahm's and Sri Krishna's teachings etc. Such a stoic while leading his life, in all respects he follows the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Sri Krishna. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm. Shlok numbers 30 to 32 of ch. 6th may be read together. 6.32. Perfect Stoic. Sri Krishna speaks. Verse number 32. He who considers that all living beings, all around are to be treated equally and like him, in happiness and in suffering, is the perfect Stoic, O Arjun. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Sri Krishna, the second self speaks. Shlok numbers 30 to 32 of ch 6th may be read together. For comments, please see number 30 of ch 6. 6.33. Arjun speaks. Verse number 33. Arjun spoke, the knowledge of eternal triad that the Brahm has detailed is difficult to practice even with a steady intellect regularly because the impacted consciousness is always flitting. In my view, the impacted consciousness cannot be trained or steadied on a permanent basis, O Madhusudan. Comments. Shlok numbers 33 to 35 of chapter 6 may be read together. Please also see inter alia, Shlok no of 42 of chapter 4, 26 of chapter 6, 7 of chapter 15. Note: the subject matter in Shlok number 11 of chapter 6 onwards except 27 to 32 of chapter 6 is primarily the self-control. In certain shloks, the actual use of the word intellect, consciousness or the like has not been used. Therefore, the shloks have been interpreted keeping the above fact in view, for clarity. 6.34. Chanchal Mana. Flitting consciousness. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Arjun speaks. Verse number 34. The impacted consciousness is certainly so restive, flitting, strong, troublesome, obstinate, I think, O Krishna, to control subdue, it is more difficult than to control the wind air. Comments. Please also see inter alia Shlok numbers 42 of chapter 2, 26, 36 of chapter 6, 7 and 8 of chapter 15. This part is referring to the effects caused due to nature through senses on a part of the consciousness of the soul, described in these comments as impacted consciousness of the soul. It is impacted consciousness which is said to be flitting around. For a detailed discussion on the expression impacted consciousness, please see Shlok numbers 7 and 8 of chapter 15 and common note number 5. Shri Krishna teaches us that it is the soul which is the master of the material body. Only the soul suffers. Only the soul enjoys. Consciousness is quality only of the soul. It may be clarified that soul is not non-matter. Soul is non-gross matter. Soul is very fine matter. The so-called mind and its unreality had to be taught while using certain words such as manah as in common parlance because of Arjun, a layman. 6.35. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 35. Shri Krishna spoke, O mighty armed one, undoubtedly, it is difficult to control the flitting impacted consciousness, mana. But with regular practice and detachment, O son of Kunti, it is possible to rein in the same, the flitting impacted consciousness. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. Shlok numbers 33 to 36 of chapter 6 may be read together. Also see inter alia, Shlok number 42 of chapter 4, 33, 34, 35 of chapter 6, 7 of chapter 15. 6.36. Consciousness is the quality only of the soul. Soul is to control. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 36. I, Shri Krishna, am of the opinion view that without self-control by the soul, collection of correct knowledge, correct analysis, applied intellect including rationality, correct decision, and correct action, the triad is difficult. But by making efforts, practice, and adopting proper method, the self-control, by the soul itself, can be attained. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self, speaks. The above shlok has reference to the eternal triad, Avyayam Yogam, declared in shlok number 1 of chapter 4. It may be clearly understood that the soul is the master of body. See shlok number 30 of chapter 2. Soul has to control all thoughts, actions and reactions of every part of the body. The soul carries the effects of all actions, inactions and reactions. Soul is affected by one or more, in higher or lower degree, by the three attributes, trio, caused due to nature I fruitive goodness, sattva, fruitive keenness, rajas, and fruitive ignorance, tamas. The pure soul is also affected by one or more of the above attributes by way of instincts etc. The thus tainted part of the soul, impacted consciousness, has to be overcome and cleansed. Best of the material spiritual worlds. Further, the soul being the master of the body has to control all functions of different parts of the body. Soul has also to cleanse itself in order to attain the stage of attaining the qualities of a man of correct action, karma yogi. Only a perfect stoic leads a full and proper worldly life by simultaneously being a man of the Brahm and a man of action. All the efforts have to be made by the soul itself. The good and the bad have also to be suffered by the soul itself. Furthermore, in this commentary a distinction has been maintained in the use of the words soul and consciousness of the soul. For detailed discussion on the expression impacted consciousness, please see Shlok number 7 of chapter 15 and common note number 5. Note: the specific processual part of the eternal triad, Avyayam Yogam, mentioned in the above shlok has been called the triad in this commentary. For details please see the common note number 4. 6.37. Arjun speaks. Verse number 37. Arjun spoke, what will be the status, the fate, of the imperfect stoic, who sincerely treads, makes efforts, the path of eternal triad but fails on way of eternal triad, Avyayam Yogam, due to the onslaught of distractions, desires or impacted consciousness etc., O Krishna? Comments. Shlok numbers 37, 38 and 39 of chapter 6 contain the doubts raised by Arjun in the event of failure of a person on the path of correct action, Karma Yoga. The answers to these questions doubts are set out by Sri Krishna in Shlok numbers 40 to 47 of chapter 6. 6.38. Arjun speaks. Verse number 38. What is the fate of the person in the way of eternal triad Avyayam Yogam, who gets bewildered like the scattered clouds, between the spiritual goal of the Brahm and the material longing obsession of the world, O Krishna? Comments. Shlok numbers 37, 38 and 39 of chapter 6 contain the doubts raised by Arjun in the event of failure of a person on the path of correct action, Karma Yoga. The answers to these questions doubts are set out by Sri Krishna in Shlok numbers 40 to 47 of chapter 6. 6.39. Arjun speaks. Verse number 39. Therefore, remove my, Arjun's, doubts as only you, Sri Krishna, can do this completely and certainly. Clarification cannot be obtained from anyone else, O Krishna. Comments. Shlok numbers 37, 38 and 39 of chapter 6 contain the doubts raised by Arjun in the event of failure of a person on the path of correct action, Karma Yoga. The answers to these questions doubts are set out by Sri Krishna in Shlok numbers 40 to 47 of chapter 6. 6.40. Sri Krishna speaks. Verse number 40. Sri Krishna spoke, O Parth, The person who is making an effort to perform beneficent correct action is certainly not vanquished nor suffers humiliation degradation either in this world or in the other world, spiritual, O dear one. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. 6.41. Future foretold. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 41. Translation. The failed imperfect stoic on way, the eternal triad, is elevated to the higher planets inhabited by persons with pious activity. Many years after that he is reborn takes birth in the home of a pious or a prosperous person. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. 6.42. Future foretold. Best of material spiritual worlds. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 42. Or such a failed imperfect stoic is reborn in the family of an intellectual. But such a birth is very rare in this world. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. 6.43. Soul as carrier. Auto-elevation. Future foretold. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 43. Thereafter, his soul carries the benefit of the effects impressions of the imperfect stoic of the previous births. Further, again makes efforts, by following the teachings etc. of Brahm and Shri Krishna. Therefrom, he tries to achieve the highest I, the moksha nirvan by way of auto-elevation, O Kurunandan. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna the second self speaks. Please see inter alia, shlok number 7 and 8 of chapter 15 for detailed comments. 6.44. Future foretold. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 44. A person by virtue of his past practice in eternal triad may automatically be attracted also inquisitively to the eternal triad and he surpasses the chanters of the Brahm's name and comes nearer to him. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. 6.45. The only way. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 45. An imperfect stoic by making sufficient efforts to subdue the impacted consciousness under eternal triad and by leading a sinless life, may attain the highest I becomes a perfect stoic in one life and thereafter the moksha. Or may attain moksha after more than one life. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. 6.46. Correct action. The only way. Shri Krishna speaks. Verse number 46. An imperfect stoic is better than persons engaged in mere penance. An imperfect stoic is better than mere intellectuals. A stoic is better than mere ritualists, including a fruitive worker. Therefore, you, Arjun, should become a perfect stoic, man of correct action, Karma Yogi, O Arjun. Comments. Brahm's alter ego Shri Krishna, the second self speaks. The above shlok clearly and undisputably disapproves the life of a penance doer, mere intellectual, mere ritualist and fruitive worker. In the above shlok, the appellations tapasvi, jnani, karmibhyaya may apply to persons in a religious priestly order, clergy, or outside it. Those who talk or practice any way of life other than that of a man of correct action, Karma Yogi, have no future either in this world or in the higher planets. The expression perfect stoic in translation above has been caused due to next number 47 of ch. 6. 6.47. Ishwar speaks. Verse number 47. Out of the various categories, levels, of Stoics, the one whose soul with full faith and sincerity follows the Brahm's teachings etc. and of Sri Krishna, such a man of correct action, Karma Yogi, I perfect Stoic should be considered as the best attuned to the Brahm. Comments. The second self-alter ego Sri Krishna speaks as the self, the Brahm Ishwar. The above shlok has laid down that a rational and well-informed man of action who follows and practices the teachings etc. of the Brahm and Sri Krishna develops sense control, detachment and takes acts, is considered as a perfect Stoic and the best amongst the common householders. Reference is invited to shlok number 41 of chapter 2 where Sri Krishna described that a Stoic, yogi, is resolute and clear in his objects. Further, reference is invited to shlok number 48 of chapter 2 where Arjun is required by Sri Krishna to discharge his obligations without longing for any benefit, result and success or failure, and thirdly the result of the action has not been caused by the person, concept of non-doer. The act done or the action taken in the above circumstances will be described as correct action, Karma Yoga. Reference is invited to shlok numbers 48, 50 of chapter 2 whereunder it is said that in a word, Yog means an action done correctly and skillfully. The word skillfully, kuslam, occurs in shlok number 50 of chapter 2. However, comments on this word have been dealt with in common comments under shlok number 48 of chapter 2 and common note number 4. Further, reference is invited to shlok number 61 of chapter 2 and shlok number 24 of chapter 6, where the person on the path of the correct knowledge, Gyan, is required to meditate upon me. I follow the teachings of the Brahm and Sri Krishna. In the above shlok number 47 of chapter 6, attention has once again been drawn to the Brahm. The expression meditate upon me has been described as a reference to the Brahm's teachings, etc. and of Sri Krishna. The expression Amna Shraddhavan Bhajate in the above shlok has been given a certain meaning which is consistent with the language of the rest of the shlok which talks of man of correct action, Karma Yogi. Also see common note number 2. It is proper to notice that so far in Bhagwat Gita, there is not a whisper in favor of bhakti by way of recitation of mantras, hymns, ceremonials, worship, praises, fasting, austerities, personal discomfiture etc. etc.